Access to the internet has led to an information and communication explosion across the globe. While online has made the world smaller, it has also created new dangers for vulnerable people to be exploited, especially children. What threats does the online world, including social media, pose to vulnerable users? Well, to discuss, I have with me Rianette Leibowitz, a cyber safety activist and founder of SaveTNet Cyber Safety. Welcome. Great to have you on the show. This is a fascinating topic, so much to talk about. Very broad topic.
Thank you.
Let's start with the basics. We virtually live online. In fact, most of our communication takes place on the internet today.
Yes.
So it's wonderful to be able to discuss this with you. What does it mean to be a cyber safety activist? And I'm sure you have a fascinating story to share when it comes to the formation of this organization that you founded.
Yes, I must say, it started when I listened to a friend of mine and colleague of mine now, Danny Mayberg from Sanray, speak about the statistics on how many kids are committing suicide because of cyberbullying. And it broke my heart. I couldn't believe that the impact of cyberbullying could have such a devastating effect. So I said, well, let me investigate a little bit. And I took about a year just to see what it's all about. I even went as far as Mexico to go and see who the players are. The World IT Conference happened in Guadalajara that year, and it was really fascinating for me to meet the industry players, to understand a little bit more about the internet, who owns it, who doesn't own it, who the role players are, and then realize that cyberbullying is such a big problem that we have to do something about it. And then I saw that there is no place to go if you are in trouble. There are many solutions, many people focusing on it, trying to help, but if you're a user, you don't know where to find them.
Absolutely.
And that's how SaveTNet Cyber Safety was established, and why we exist is to really be that net for people to fall into if they have a cyber-related issue. And the net is formed with a network of service providers, psychologists, the police, forensic analysts, and everybody that you would need to help you if you're in trouble.
Well, that's very sad to hear about the high suicide rates when it comes to cyberbullying. Children are very vulnerable, as I indicated in my intro.
Yes.
Give us more of a sense of exactly what cyberbullying is, and tell us how you're making a difference in this space, especially when it comes to targeting the youth. Okay,
cyberbullying happens online, it happens with digital devices, and it's something that happens on a constant basis. It is harassment, it's defaming, it's making that person feel vulnerable. Sometimes it's not even about that specific person, it could be about a family member or a friend, and it's harassment. And it's usually, when excuse me, when we talk about cyberbullying, it is kids doing cyberbullying to each other. When an adult steps in, then harassment comes in, and pedophiles and all kinds of other things. So cyberbullying is really kids being nasty with each other.
And that's so sad, because as adults we can be quite thick-skinned and deal with situations that are not of an extreme nature, but children, I mean, it's all about peer pressure, and they're not built to actually deal with these kind of situations.
Exactly.
So how do you reach out to children in schools? Are you educating them as part of your organization about cyberbullying and how to work around that?
Yeah, we speak at schools. We love to speak at schools. We like to speak to the kids, the learners alone, and to the teachers separately and their parents, because each one has a different role to play and different responsibilities. For the educators or the teachers, for instance, they are not aware of what the law says. They don't know how to deal with pornography in the classroom. Are they supposed to confiscate the phone? Do they call the parents? Do they call the police? And there are many grey areas that we need to address. And that's really where SaveTNet, besides just being at the schools and speaking to kids and the parents and so forth, we actually really speaking to the industry and to government to say what is being done to protect our youth.
And where does the law stand at the moment when it comes to cyberbullying at a school level?
You know what, schools need to have policies in place, and some of them do. Some of them have really good policies in place, and I want to commend those schools. Others have them in place, but the parents don't know about it, and it's not very well communicated. But that's a typical thing that happens most places. So coming back to speaking at schools and to the parents and the teachers, when we talk to the youth, the learners, depending high school or If they're primary, there's also a different level of communication, because with the high school guys, we talk about your digital footprint and how to use LinkedIn carefully and so forth. Whereas with the young ones, we focus more on the types of photos you should not take and how to just be cyber savvy. When it comes to parents, we love speaking to the parents, because first of all, they are the ones who need to protect their kids online. They need to know that they have a responsibility. Just as we teach our kids to wear a seatbelt, and we have burglar bars and we've got security at home, we need to protect them with their devices, have the right security on their devices, and teach them good manners in cyberspace.
And of course, it comes down to the basics. Do not speak to strangers.
Oh yes, which is a challenging
There are a lot
one.
of devious people out there with fake profiles, and again,
Yes.
children are vulnerable. As adults, we can deal with it. I block people off. I mean, it's so easy to detect a
Yeah.
fake profile, but there are all kinds of serious syndicates out there targeting people via social media. Tell us
Yes.
about that.
Well, when we talk about syndicates, it becomes really, like, I like to refer to these CSI type of programs, you know, where it's really intriguing and you think, wow, that looks cool. But
Is
it
this a
can't be-
reality? Is
It
this a
can't be real,
reality?
but it is reality. And if you look at syndicates, they are very sophisticated criminals who actually take months and sometimes years to plan their attacks. So we, as the victims sometimes, are totally oblivious to how they infiltrate systems. We can talk about business, but when it comes to personal things, they might be spying on you for months and without you knowing, and then attack. One very interesting one that I think many people have unfortunately experienced is online dating and fraud there. You know, where you are put in a relationship and you think that this person is there and they're really honest and they are legit. Meantime, they're part of the syndicate where they really are out there to find the vulnerable ones and build the relationship of trust. And then when they see that they actually have you and they can manipulate you, then they actually start with saying, listen, I need a 2,000 Rand here or a 20,000 Rand there. And before you know it, you have lost your money and your love. Because it wasn't a real person.
And it's kind of embarrassing as well.
I think it's heartbreaking too, because it's you're finally willing to put your heart out.
Because you have to deal with the fact that you've been a victim.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know what, it's not hard for us to double check. With Google, we can search people, and I would like to recommend that people go and do a search for their own names to see what their own digital footprints look like. It could be quite interesting what comes up. You might share a name with a criminal who's currently in jail, and you might have to do a little bit of tweaking to make sure that if you go for an interview or you want to buy a house, that the people who look you up don't associate you with that bad story.
So you just have to check up on people.
Yeah, you actually need to just do research.
I do that.
You have to do research.
I always say I'm a part-time spy. I do my research, I check up on people.
And it's fascinating what you can find, isn't it?
Exactly. I want to talk about adult cyberbullying very quickly. We've had incidences in South Africa, some high-profile incidences. In particular, what comes to mind is the Penny Sparrow incident, where she posted something ugly on social media that went viral. And that's a kind of cyberbullying that could be labeled as cyberbullying, but the other way around, a lot of people called her out, and that could also be labeled as cyberbullying. Could it not?
So when the adults step in, we're talking about the harassment side of it. And with Penny Sparrow, I mean, this is where the digital dilemma comes in. There are no rules. And you can imagine this is like a big cyber highway, and we love this highway and we enjoy it because we get connected to people all over the world. However, there are drunk drivers and there are people without licenses. And we have to be conscious of the fact that the young ones are usually the ones without the licenses. The drunk drivers are the ones who are the trolls, the guys who will go out there trying to get you to react in a negative way. And really, they're just out there to create havoc. So with her case, it was really sad because she didn't realize how far her comment would go.
And of course,
again,
it's libel
education.
as well. It's libelous.
Yeah.
It can be libel, and then you could be sued for publishing defamatory comments on social media.
Yes, and I'm glad that you mentioned the word publishing, because every time you click on something, you like, you share a video, etc., you are part of the chain, the distribution chain.
It's in the public domain. It becomes public domain.
Yeah, but should anyone go to court and you've been one of the people who helped to spread it, you could be liable. So it's
And
really,
I think
we
people
have
need to
think,
get that. People really need to get that.
Yeah, we have to really think carefully before you just like something or share something or comment. I mean, if you look at adults commenting on news sites and news stories, then I sometimes wonder, would you blush or would you smile if your child saw what you just posted and what you just said online? Because we need to be responsible, and that's why with SaveTNet, our aim is really to save lives by creating awareness for responsible digital engagement.
It comes down to the principle of freedom of expression, where the law supports freedom of expression, but then there's always a responsibility attached that is subject to the rights of other people. You have a very important event coming up where you are involved with the corporates. I want to learn more about exactly what the agenda is of this event.
I'm glad that you asked, because for us it's really important for corporates to understand the risks, etc. But there's one specific industry that needs to delve a little bit deeper into cybersecurity and the risks, and that is the communications industry. So my background is PR and marketing, and that's why I'm also passionate about that part. But I don't know if our country's PR agencies, the digital agencies, the people, the teams who work on events and the advertising, etc., I don't know if they are ready for cyber attacks. I'm not convinced that they really understand the risks. To understand, first of all, the risks, secondly, the repercussions and what it would do to the brands, and then if that ever had to happen, how do they deal with it?
Has it happened recently?
It has happened overseas, and I can tell you that the damage, in the reputational damage, was so big, and you cannot get that back with any amount of money.
Absolutely. Do you think South Africans are ready for that kind of attack, or when it comes to the PR communications industry, we're not prepared?
I can't say I think they are. I don't think we are, because it took me 3 years to get the level of understanding that I have now. And that's why I put this panel together on behalf of PRISA, the Public Relations Institute of Southern Africa, because it's such an important topic for us to discuss. And I'm really excited about next week's event, because Norton Rose Fulbright is our partner in this one, and we're collaborating. And we have really good speakers on the panel. We have Brigadier Piet Pieterse from the Hawks, who's going to talk about the police, because I want to say the police is working really, really hard. The forensic side and the cybercrime unit are fighting a very, very big battle, and they are winning some of these cases. They are putting people behind bars who are out of line. So I want to commend them. And then we have Webfluential, which is also in the space, in social media space, more looking at bloggers and influencers. And that's Kirsty Sherman speaking. And then I'm going to speak about SaveTNet and the role we can play, because we want to add value to the PR agencies and the digital agencies and help them to understand the cyber-related risks and so forth. We also have Cell C advocate Jacqueline Fick coming to speak. So it's a really good panel of individuals, plus from the legal point of view, we have Narishka Bowman from Norton Rose Fulbright. So we're going to talk about the legal side. We're going to talk about what the police's role is. When do you need to go to your Cell Cs or your network operators? What help is out there? And then, of course, if you are in the space and doing the social media yourself, what is it that you need to know? Of
course, how to protect yourself. Do we have software, adequate software out there to actually protect industries?
Yes, you know what? There's so many amazing apps available, good quality software, people who really focus on this industry. And it's just a matter of understanding where they are. You almost don't know what you need until you need it, until it might be too late.
Science. It's rocket science. So it was so wonderful to have you with us, and we hope to hear more about this event that's coming through and the discussions that will take place and the outcome, of course.
Thank you. No, and people are welcome to go on PRISA's website to find more information, because there is a little bit more space, and if they need any information, I'm happy to share more. And as long as people just know that they don't need to be afraid of this stuff, it's just that we need to be aware and
focus on solutions and protecting ourselves. Thank you so much.
It's a big pleasure.